What's up guys? Let's talk a little bit about item sets. There has been a lot of theory crafting and confusion lately when we got Merciless and all these new item sets like Ratalos and all the many accessory item sets. And one thing that many people are saying is that Savage set and Cruel set and Lethal set are past relics and completely useless now, and all the years of farming that you did on these sets is completely wasted and not relevant anymore. And that might be how it feels like, but actually that's not the case, and I kind of want to talk a little bit about this topic. The gearing for PvP is getting a lot more complicated, and I would say much more interesting and fun with all of these item sets that we got going on nowadays. That it's not just 4-piece and 6-piece item sets, but you can even use 1-piece item sets with accessories from Ratalos and Protection and Stone Skin, and then you can do all kinds of mishmash combinations that you could do 6-piece Stone Skin and 2-piece Perception. Stuff like that is possible nowadays, or you could go with 1-piece Ratalos accessory to get 5% crit rate. Let me just quickly show you at the start of the video. I kind of typed some notes a little bit, and I will there's probably something that I missed because there's many good combinations, but the main thing that I wanted to talk about, well actually let's get into the notes in a second, but the main thing that I wanted to get on this video is about the Merciless set completely making your Savage and Lethal irrelevant and cruel. And I can tell you, for instance, I haven't been super lucky with Merciless and I don't have anything incredible just yet. And the set is definitely great and I'm gonna use it, but outside of the clear thing that getting 9-piece set because you need to have 3 accessories on the right faction that are all for the right nuke build is going to be extremely hard. But ignoring that part and just focusing on it as 6-piece set, it is an incredible 6-piece set on attack scaling nukers. For HP and defense scaling it's still good, but you're kind of missing on the attack, which is you get 25% attack, so it's a bit less good for them. But there is the Cruel and Lethal is gonna give you 30% ignore defense, and here you're gonna get 35% ignore defense plus 15% crit damage, 5% speed, and the chance to decrease a random skill cooldown. So that is definitely way better, and of course it's a bit hard to get, and it might seem that Savage and Lethal are worthless, but what you will see in high level live arena, and I don't think that's gonna go away, I think it's gonna be just become even more popular when people have the gear to actually do it. But I think in most cases, if you have something like Chorgid, who is the hardest hitting champion in the game in general, of course kind of depending on situation, but on average he's by far the hardest hitting champion. And well, maybe he's not the best example because he often hits hard enough that you might not even need more damage, but it applies the same way to other stuff as well. But of course you would get incredible amount of extra damage from the 6-piece set, but often, and now we're talking about live arena specifically, but often people will prefer to go with 4-piece Lethal and 4-piece Stone Skin, or 4-piece Savage and 4-piece Stone Skin, whichever way you can get better build with. But the 4-piece Stone Skin is so incredibly powerful that I think often people are still gonna prefer that over 6-piece on Merciless. And of course you can do both of these builds. This just gives you more options, that maybe you have one nuker in 4-piece Savage and 4-piece Stone Skin, and maybe you have another nuker in 6-piece Merciless. It is definitely not gonna go to waste, and I don't think Lethal and Savage are actually gonna be worse than Merciless. I think they're gonna be equal, often they might even be better, but it kind of depends what you make out of it. And you will also get a lot of more combinations available But if we just quickly take a look at some of my notes. First I have of course Force Piece, Assassin, Lethal or Savage that we talked about. Then we have 4-piece Bolster and Stone Skin. Of course I'm running that build on my Judges, which shouldn't come as a surprise to anybody. This is incredibly powerful build, and lots of people will have revivers and supports on this build, though it kind of has a little bit downside, which I think might fade a little bit over time. But right now, when we have White King Narses, which is very popular in Classic Arena offense, not as much in Live Arena, but he's still very popular there as well. But he gets the extra hit on the A2 if enemy has shield or strengthen. So Narses is actually gonna be more powerful against your team if you're running Bolster set. But, and kind of because of that, you will see a lot more Stone Skin, 6-piece Stone Skin builds in Classic Arena defense lately. Often you will not see teams with Bolster, and they will be in full Stone Skin and with slower builds, and they might they're often running Lockout now instead of other stuff. But of course there's counters to that. People can use bombs better than they were able to do before and so on. So I think that might fade a little bit over time, but 6-piece Stone Skin is making a little bit comeback because of that. But then you have another incredibly good build that you could actually do that I haven't really seen anybody talk about, and because of the Stone Skin accessories, you could now make a 6-piece Stone Skin set with basically any 2-piece set that you want. And one thing that actually came to my mind, let me quickly find it on the Raid Discord, but I'm talking about the new fusion that we are gonna get in next week, I guess. I should have pulled this beforehand, I guess, but so we're getting this champion. And I'm super excited about Armans, of course. And what I was planning actually to do with him is 6-piece Stone Skin and 2-piece Perception. He's kind of like combination between Wukong and Lysandra. He does have a lot of turn meter manipulation and sheep. He doesn't have buff strip or block buff debuff, but he does have 2 different abilities that set the enemy skills on cooldown, but one of his skills steals all turn meter of each target and then places a stun after that. And I was actually, my plan with him was to use my 4-piece on Mikage that I have right now, which I have like incredible 4-piece Stone Skin with quads on everything except the shield, and even the shield has kind of high roll, so it's a very strong triple roll. But I will have this very fast 4-piece Stone Skin set, and the new champion is in Barbarian faction. And wait, where do I have somebody from okay, Xena. So I'm gonna put him 4-piece Stone Skin with the normal artifacts, but then I'm gonna get, wait, let me double check that you can actually see it on the video. Let me put myself here. So I will put 2-piece Stone Skin with accessories, which will get me to 6-piece Stone Skin actually, and then I can run 2 very fast Perception pieces on him, and that's gonna be one really strong build that you can run that people have kind of overlooked a bit. And it doesn't have to be Perception, it could be speed or anything else, but kind of to just give you some ideas of other things you can do with these things that haven't been talked about. Okay, and yeah, of course, 6-piece Merciless and 2-piece Cruel, that is something that I have talked about before, and I think that's something that everybody literally, like, this thought came to many people's head the first thing that they saw Merciless set. That's basically gonna be the highest damage build that you can get with Merciless set, because the ignore defense is so strong, and you can get 40% ignore defense. Of course, with many champions, if they have some inbuilt ignore defense, and you're getting 40% from this and 25% from Helm Smasher, you might overcap ignore defense, and you're not gonna get any benefit out of that, but it's gonna make your average damage better if you don't proc Helm Smasher and so on. The 9-piece set on Merciless is incredibly good, but it's very hard to get 3 good accessories on the right faction, and the 15% chance of getting extra turn is good, so you might consider this even if 6-piece Merciless and Cruel might be better damage per hit, but getting extra turn and rotating your cooldowns might be very good as well, but it kind of gives you some options. And yeah, then we have 3-piece protection, which is kind of obvious, but in case somebody forgot about it or didn't think about it, it is kind of hard to actually get this build. But you could run, for instance, 6-piece speed with 3-piece protection, just to get the extra speed you get out of this. And of course, at the same token, let's say that you're using, let's say HP scaling nuker like White King Narses. Now, I do have my White King Narses on reaction. I would rather do 4-piece Stone Skin, but I don't have the accessories for it. But you can basically, probably you're not gonna have all of these options available, so you should do whichever you get and what fits your other champions and your strategies and so on. But you could even go with 2-piece protection on accessories and get this 15% HP, or then you could go 3-piece on something like Arbiter and make it even faster. But as you can see, we have a lot of options and ways to go around, and you don't want to overlook the other options than just thinking about 6-piece set or 9-piece Merciless or whatever. Okay, so in relation to Supersonic set, let me quickly find it too. Actually, I had it there, but I guess we can get it from here as well. By the way, one thing that I kind of, I have mentioned this many times before, you probably don't need to keep every single piece, but if you have room and you might later consider chaosoring something, or maybe you will take a helmet with only 3 good substats and maybe it's missing crit rate or something. But if you have the room, I would kind of keep even crappy pieces just as just in case you need them at some point. Maybe you have a really cute build and you just need 1 filler piece. But so if we look at the Supersonic set, it might not look as strong as speed set on paper, that you're gonna get 36% speed from speed set, and you're only gonna get 32% from here. And that is kind of true in vacuum, and of course you could go 6-piece speed and 3-piece protection. That would be the best build that you can do on paper, but the set effects on Supersonic are very strong. On 4-piece, fills this champion's turn meter by 2% for each buff on enemy, and enemy teams have lots of buffs, both in live arena and classic arena. So this is gonna be very relevant, and you might cut in or just go first, because they're gonna have stuff like bolster and different buffs even at the start of the fight, so this is gonna proc all the time. And then on the 6-piece set, decreased turn meter effects placed by enemies on this champion are 30% less effective. This might seem very fringe and not very common in practice, but actually we have the Evil Eye Mastery that reduces your turn meter by 20%. That one is very common and most supports are gonna have it, but there's actually quite many popular champions in the game that have turn meter manipulation. For instance, Mikage, or the upcoming Fusion Armans. And even if we quickly take a look at the blessings. Yeah, I kind of always confuse which one is at which one. But 6-piece temporal chains is very popular among speed teams, and something like this will proc against you very often. So I will say that the 6 piece on Supersonic is very good as well, and of course, if you can get all the way to 9 piece, increases any heal turn meter effects on this champion by 30%. That is pretty good. Now, maybe you could even go like 5 piece Supersonic and maybe 2 piece speed. That could be a very good option. So you really want to take this into account and not just blindly think about the maximum sets. Like, I will say that the 9 piece set is very good here, but it's gonna be very hard to do. And maybe you could do an incredibly fast build with 5 piece Supersonic and 2 piece speed. This might be very realistic for many people, or maybe even 6 piece seed, maybe even 6 piece Supersonic and 2 piece speed. These sets, or these combinations of sets, can vary a lot depending on account, and you're probably, some of these things you might have not thought about or haven't heard people talking about, and you want to look at the big picture here and not just blindly think about the full item sets. But that's basically kind of what I wanted to talk about. My main point was that Savage and Lethal are not dead, and they are still very good sets. Stone Skin is kind of becoming even more meta than it already was, and Bolster a little bit less so because of White King Narses. And if we quickly talk about the item sets that you can buy, I kind of already talked a little bit about the Rathalos set, but it also has 1 to 3 piece item set bonuses, and even though it's incredibly hard to get 9 piece Rathalos set, probably you're never gonna be able to do one set even if you buy it every time it's available. But if you are very competitive and you like to spend a little bit on the game, I would definitely consider buying Rathalos set, not even if you're just aiming to get the 6 piece sets or anything like that, but just for the chance to get the 1 to 3 piece set on accessories. Now you can kind of do the same thing with Merciless, but it will give you more options, and if you are super competitive, then you should think about it. So Merciless is gonna give you 10% attack, 15% crit damage, and 5% speed. Can I find the Rathalos set? Okay, there. And on Rathalos it's 5% crit rate, 15% crit damage, and 5% speed. So maybe slightly better on non-attack scaling nukers, but just to give you could use it on attack scaling nukers too, just to give you more options and ways to find the best possible builds. But I'm not sure if I'm gonna buy Rathalos again. I was originally not planning to buy it, but I kind of changed my mind. But maybe I will buy this set. I will say that for me personally, the number one set you want to buy from Force Pass is Bolster. It is just so good. You can pair it so well with the 4-piece set, and it's also very versatile that you can run your 4-piece Bolster whatever reviver on PvP, and you can use the same build on Hydra and so on. So it's a very good set. I would probably put Rathalos as the number 2 set I would buy. Instinct is kind of interesting one. It is definitely worse than Lethal and Savage, purely for damage. And most endgame players probably wouldn't go for this. I would say that if you're a newer player in the game, Instinct set is definitely the best set to buy. Probably the best thing to buy in the game as a new player would be to get the Instinct Force Pass. That's the easiest and fastest way to get a Savage set build or something akin to that. And yeah, I would buy that, but as an endgame player I probably wouldn't. But if you're a big spender, then probably I would still buy every single one of these, and maybe you can get one champion with this set that you want to have more speed on and doesn't need full damage. But that would be kind of like the situational as in my tier list, that it might be very good, but for me it would definitely be the last set that I would buy. Then probably the third best set that I would buy is Righteous. Just a combination of stats and of 10% speed and 40% resist. Stat-wise, this is the best set in the game. The issue is that resistance is not very meta. And there's and there's many things like the bolster shield being protected and protection set and Meritska strength and not being able to be buff stripped and so on. There's so many mechanics nowadays that are kind of substitutes for resistance, and now the primal champions can even book so that you can ignore 20% of enemy resistance, so resistance is kind of getting devalued. But if there was ever a time where resistance becomes meta again, you might regret not buying this set, because on paper it's incredibly strong. And of course, let's say that you already have, or you're lucky enough to pull a Crixia. This would of course be an incredible set on Crixia, since on his both forms he scales from resistance. On the other one you get accuracy, and on the other one you get speed. But you could maybe even build her in 6-piece Righteous or 2-piece, maybe 4-piece Righteous and 4-piece Stoneskin. Something like that could be incredibly cute if you can get it, but it kind of depends on people. It might not be your priority, but I might honestly go for both Radalos set and Righteous set. We will see about that. I have bought Righteous set once. I don't know if it has even been on sale more than that, and I almost skipped Radalos set, but I bought both of these ones. But if I'm making content like regularly, like I have lately, maybe I should just buy them. It might be worth doing it. And I would probably place as the second last slot the Defiant set. Now it can be very good, and situationally again it can be super strong. I don't see it being used that much, and since you have so many other good options for these different set combinations, I don't really see myself using this set. But let's say for instance in the current meta, where King Narses is incredibly popular and is the best way to counter Taras and Meritska teams, if you were to build your Meritska or Siphi with 2-piece Defiant, that would totally gimp those Narses teams. Because although they have damage to one-shot them, if you go for max HP Siphi and max HP Meritska, it is gonna be kind of close, and they might not do it if they don't proc Helm Smasher, and I'm pretty sure they definitely won't do it if you go with the 2-piece Defiant set. So it might kind of seem like I'm chilling for the Force passes a little bit here, but of course Plarium is smart and they intentionally made the Force pass sets really good, and they're all worth considering. But here is just my thoughts as the bonus content at the end of the video about the Force pass sets. This gets asked me all the time, and I never made a video specifically about it because I didn't think there would be enough material to do a video about, and that wasn't the video's topic, but now we got it into this video as well. Now, if you have any other good combinations that I didn't mention, then tell me in comments, or any questions, do that as well. But that's it for this video. Thanks a lot for watching, and see ya.